Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Sorry I'm a little bit late. I was just finishing up. It is Sunday and it is time for another live stream. I hope you are all safe and well. We skipped one last week for a few reasons, but unfortunately I couldn't go live last week. However, we are live tonight as normal. And actually, I got to start this one with a thank you to ELRS because he started it with a super chat. He's put one in for £10 even before we started, so thank you for that, mate. Thank you very much. I was not on holiday, unfortunately. Genuinely, I couldn't do it. There was a few reasons, and I was just not on my mojo enough to make it happen. And it would have been, sometimes I've learned it's best not to do things rather than do it and try to push through. So, yeah, I hope you are all safe and well. Tonight, we are going to be talking about some of the new DJI O4 links, some of the new O4 leaks. We're getting closer now. We're getting much, much closer to the release. We are going to talk about some motors that I've been sent by Zed T Innovate. They have reached out and sent me a selection of motors, and we're just going to have a quick look. I'm going to talk about them more in a video. We're also going to take a look at this, which is a very cool little thing that I've been sent. And there will be a video coming on this, but I want to show you this. And we're also going to talk about the Wavering Link stuff from Emax, because they've sent me over the full kits. And I'm sort of working my way through that at the moment, as well as working my way through the Mario with OpenIPC. I've had to put OpenIPC down a little bit to allow me to get finished on some other stuff. The truth is, OpenIPC is still very alpha, still early days, and it is a time suck. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but you do need time to be able to update everything and test everything. And it's not that it's particularly difficult once you understand what you're doing, but I'm just not so much in the position these days where I can waste days and days and days messing with something and not have anything else I've got to do. So I've got to sort of jump between stuff at the moment. Now, I hope everyone survived the weather okay in the UK. If you were in the UK, it has been horrific. Luckily, we've had no problems here. I was a little bit worried about the roof on the workshop stroke studio, if I'm honest, because it was very bad. But we got through it okay. There was no major damage here. There are trees down everywhere, but we got through it okay in the end. I hope everyone else did too. It's been a bit interesting to see the stuff that's kicked off. There's just so much damage around. And yeah, it's prevented me getting out on the new bike. It's prevented me doing a lot of things, actually. So what I've been trying to do is get stuff done on the bench rather than out in the real world. Now, before we get on to the first subjects, let me just get myself lined up and get everything where it should be. Just want to check something. Is that monitor in view? No, it isn't. I've got my monitor a lot closer today than I usually do. So if you see me looking to the side, that's where the chat is. So the chat is there. I'm looking at the chat right now. I probably need to get myself a teleprompter or one of those mirror things that I can put the chat on under the camera so I can read the chat as it's going up. I should probably invest in one of them. My God, I've taken a week off and I can't talk. And that's actually quite interesting. I've been trying to put content together in the background and I'm really struggling. The problem with doing this is when you stop doing it, you actually go out of your zone, out of your sort of, that you lose the fluidity that you gain from doing this all of the time. And I've been trying to sort of get some videos finished in the last 24 hours. And I'll be honest, it's been a crap show. An absolute crap show. Rhythm, get out of your mojo, your flow. And yeah, I had to do a start of a video. And I'll be honest, it took like 30 takes to get it right. So yeah, it's not good, not good. But anyways, let's crack on and talk about what we've got on the dock today. So, before we get into the main subject, I just want to talk about this. And let me find the right button. There it is. Now, for those of you who may remember, I talked about this on the channel a while ago. Now, this is the iFlight Spark Protector, Arrestor Protector. This is the one that failed. And I was talking on a live stream about, wouldn't it be cool to have something like this that instead of just protected the spark, but gave you enough time to plug in your battery on your quad and walk away. And the idea I had about this was to basically be able to power your quad and put it on the ground without the risk of the prop spinning up. And we were talking about this as part of the BL Heli issues and as part of the in. Well, someone's only gone and made this, right? So here on the overhead, I'm going to show you, which is this. It's by J. Bauer Electronics, and I'll talk about it in a minute. And it's a design he's made, which is an all-in-one. It's a spark arrestor. Okay, so you can use it as a spark arrestor. This is the version with XT60 in and out. But you can get it as just the board. He's put this one together for me. But depending on the position of this jumper here, you can set it to be a spark arrestor, but you can also set it to offer a 10-second, 20-second, or 30-second boot-up delay. Now, I think this is a fantastic idea, only because I think I suggested it. However, the idea of this is having something that will protect your hands in the event of an accidental spin up. And just to demonstrate this, I just want to show you this. I've set this one, right, to 10 seconds. So let's just get out a little bit on the camera. So this is currently set to 10 seconds. We're going to just put it onto this quad. I'm going to plug that in there. So I'm just going to use it as part of it a second. Now this is powered up at 16 volts. So we're going to plug in. So get 1, 2, 3. Nothing's happened, but wait for it. 10 seconds, I've set it to. There we go. It's kicked in and it's powered up. Now, we spoke about this on the stream, and it's really cool someone has done this. Now, I haven't tested this extensively, you know, to talk about its longevity, its safety, how well does it work, is there going to be any failures? But it is a great idea, and I love the fact that you can set it to a 10, a 20, or a 30-second delay. And I am going to make a dedicated video about this, but this is exactly what we spoke about on the channel. It's really cool to see that he went and did it. The person behind it is this. It's J. Bauer Electronics. His website is laserbeelpm.com. I'll put it in the chat. He hasn't got it listed on the website. I'm not sure if this is pre-production. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to make it smaller. He sent me this over, and I just think the idea is fantastic. And I do think this is something that really will add additional layers of safety against accidental spin-up. It's just quite cool. It is possible it could be shrunk down. It is possible it isn't optimized. You know, there is a bit of space around the PCB. If I just, any heat from it, you'll get a bit of heat through the full load, but there's nothing there. But just to show you it, there, you know, there is always the possibility of optimizing. That's for sure. So you can see, look, it could be rounded off. Amp rating, you don't know on this one. Let me just tell you. Let's see if he's told me on the spec. So 7 to 24 volt. The MOSFET is an IP-T007N06N. Is there any rating? There's no rating, but it'll be whatever rating is on that MOSFET, basically. N60N. So what's the N6? Let's have a look. What? let's have a look at what this MOSFET is rated at. So it is the IP007N06N MOSFET. And if we just have a look at this data sheet, here we go. Is that the forward current? 486 amp? Wouldn't have thought it'd be that high. Continuous drain current. 52. 2 seconds. My cup of tea has arrived. Right, let me just have... I can never remember how to read MOSFETs. I always struggle. I think that's a 52 amp MOSFET. Looking at that. Continuous drain current, 52 amp, then you got 486 there. But that's really cool. I just wanted to show it because it's just a great thing. And I love the fact that we talked about it on the channel. Just realized something. Let me just put that monitor there. I've just realized that monitor blocks the light if I have it there. Yes, it's a failure point. And I made that comment on the original issues that I had with the spark arrestor. But I love the idea as well. And that's the interesting thing of it. It is a failure point, but it is also a benefit this time as well. Time over here is just 10:15 over here in the evening. Stu, how are you? I hope you're well, by the way. So I just wanted to show you that before because I think it's really cool. As I've said, it's available. I don't know what his plan is, but it's Jay Bauer. I'll do a dedicated video on it because it's quite cool. And yeah, that'll come up on the channel. Now, whilst we're on this, it's time to get on to the leaks. Now, there have been a number of leaks on DJI O4 over the last couple of weeks. We are absolutely getting closer to the launch. Don't expect it this year. My understanding is by mid-January, it will be released, or at least reviewed out there. Someone will have it. Now, I can tell you that I will not be involved in this release. I've heard nothing from DJI, not that I was expecting to. No manufacturers have reached out to me. I wouldn't be able to say this if they had. Obviously, if I was asked to sign an NDA for the release, I would, but I haven't been by anyone. I'm not expected to be included in this at all, so you will get release day information from pretty much everyone except me. I'm probably not even going to make content around that time. I'll discuss it on the live stream, but I'm not really going to say anything until I've got my hands on it. And that is for 2 reasons. And the reasons are this. Number one, I can't talk about something once it's out that I haven't got. Really, I've done it before. I can sort of say, hey, my audience, it's released. But number 2, frankly, I'm not giving DJI the free press until I've got my hands on it. And that press then will be the genuine review, not, hey guys, this is out there and coming out in 2 weeks. Because what they don't get to do is get the free press without me being involved. So whilst that may hurt the channel a little bit in the sense of I'm not going to get the views off that, what we need to know, I need to test. And look, all of the tech details are out there. They're leaked. Everything is out there. Everything you need to know is out there. The size, it's all there. Now it will be, how well does it work? That's what we're going to come down to next. It does appear So we've had this. This is a marketing image, okay? So it does appear that the camera has actually slightly changed. And it's f2.8, not f2.0 now. You can see the mounting pattern, which is 16 by 16. People have asked about this screw on the top. I think that's just to hold the front and back together. My understanding on price, and look, price won't really be 100% confirmed until about 2-3 days before launch. But the noises I'm hearing is $199 for the Pro and about $110, $120 for the Lite. That's what I'm hearing. Okay? But DJI always set the price confirmed about 2-3 days before launch. They don't fully confirm it until right up until the end, usually. But we are talking about $199 for the Pro and $110, $120 for the Lite. There are some technical reasons for that as well. There are some very valid technical reasons why DJI may have been able to cut the price down here. The bomb is one of them. In theory, this should be actually cheaper to make than O3 for technical reasons. Or at least the air unit should be cheaper to make than O3. And that should give DJI a little bit of space to cut the price down. Also, add on to the fact that they're going after Cadex. And that's a large part of it as well. So, we've had leaked images of the Pro, and as someone said earlier just now, very little leaked images of the Lite. Ben mentioned it. Very little. Absolutely nothing. Now, there has been an overview, and I haven't even got an image of the Lite myself. I do know the Lite was later getting to people than the Pro. The Pro's been in people's hands for a little bit of time. The Lite was not so much. How close did I get? How close did I get, guys? Wait a minute. Let me... if you remember this... How close did... Let's go to the overhead a second. How close did I get? This was lasered onto this, so I've cut the corner off. How close did I get to that? Ignore the logo side. It's not bad. It's not bad. And then you've got the laser cut version, which is the legit. There you go. That's very close. It's almost like this was based on a technical drawing. It's almost like I somehow had a technical drawing of what it looks like, isn't it? And turned that step file into a 3D printable or laser cuttable file. Who knew? Anyways, but yes, it's coming. So the mount is a joke. Let's be honest with ourselves. The mount is a complete joke, and let's say it now. And there'll be loads of people saying, "Oh yeah, you can modify your frames." This is just BS. This is bullshit. Nothing more, nothing less. You can't mount it single screw because it's going to be either too high or too low in your frame. There is frack all out there this will fit. Only frame you may get lucky on this is if you have one with the center screw and then the bottom screw mount. You might get that to fit, but that mount is an absolute joke. Obviously, the air unit will fit pretty much. It'll be fine. You've got 20 by 20 and 25 by 25. On the screw holes. People have asked about this cable connector here, and there was other images. So we've also had, where is it? There's an overhead one here, like a technical drawing got out as well. Let me find that. Here it is. So we also had this image that leaked. That was it, a picture of it next to an air unit. Do you know what I absolutely love about these images? if you're going to leak something, right, here's a hint. Hide the frickin' barcode. Don't let DJI see who you are. DJI will know exactly who this is. Just like they knew exactly who the first person was who actually reached out to me and asked me to take my video down, and I said no. Because it was probably their image. So if you remember the first leaked image, I was actually asked to take that down. And I said, sorry, but no, because it's public information. But come on, amateur hour, if you're going to leak, hide the bloody barcodes, guys. Come on. And even if you're going to send it to a mate, don't send it to a mate without obscuring the barcode just in case he's silly enough to send it out. Amateur hour in the leak store, guys. Amateur hour. I've been doing this for years and learn the game. Learn the game. But yeah, you can see on the Pro, you've got your two antenna connectors next to each other there. The Pro isn't really a single board. So the Pro is like a dual board design. It's a bit complicated, but it's a dual board design. But it's a lot smaller. You can see that there. DJI have gone back to two separate antennas. I can tell you the first leak was not deliberate because the person was deeply upset about it and asked me to take the video down. That screw on the top there is just to hold the front to the back. The screws on the side are an absolute joke. Yeah. 16. The camera is 20mm wide. 16 by 16 mounting pattern, and there's 16mm back from the front as well. So from there, and the camera's taller than it is wider. So the camera is 20mm wide, but it's taller the other way around. So we had this, and then there was also another image as well, which is this one here. And look, this is as close as we've got to seeing the light. We haven't. Ooh, that looks very familiar, doesn't it? This is as much as we've seen on the light. We haven't seen anything else. We know the light's going to have pads and a connector. So when you look there, right, there are pads in front of the connector for the power connector. The power connector is set back slightly, and there'll be pads on the front. And then you can't see it there because they've overridden it, but there's pads there. What you can see is that there's a can there, a big square there. I don't know what that is because it's not an SD card. It's probably one of the flash RAMs, flash chips. And then you can see the pin out there for the wiring as well. So look, this is the instructions that people have been sent for the A and the B. And now they're not going to be called the Lite and the Pro. They're going to be called the O4 and the O4 Pro. That's going to be the difference. What will be interesting to see is if you could put the Pro camera on the Lite. We don't know that yet. I don't really see why you couldn't, but let's wait and see. There's always a gotcha with DJI, and remember, whenever you see anything with DJI, it's never about what you do know, it's always about what they don't say. The number one rule with DJI is what they don't talk about, not what they do talk about. So if DJI say something like, it's got high brightness new screens, the first thing you want to look at is, what's the resolution of those screens? Because if they're highlighting one element but not another element, DJI usually tries to bury bad news by trying to highlight something else that's good. So always read between the lines with DJI. The light camera is 14mm. Yes, it is. The light camera is 14mm wide. Single antenna, reduced RF output, 27, reduced RF output, onboard DVR instead of SD card. Remains to be seen. AOA has asked, will the O3 still be available after O4's released? Initially, yes. However, my expectation is this will officially be the end of O3 and the Vista and the RunCam link. Expect all of them to vanish, maybe not in 24 hours, but expect them to vanish. I have already heard O3 is out of production, is what I've already heard. What do you reckon the light will be roughly up to output-wise? 700 milliwatts. I need to check something, but I thought it was 1 watt. Was it 700 or 1 watt? I'm trying to remember. Was it 26 or 30 dBm? It's either 26 or 30 dBm. I just can't remember off the top of my head. I actually published this. It's on the channel, so I need to go to the channel. If I go to my channel, it's on there. I published it on the community page. I just can't remember the detail, every detail off the top of my head. So I have published under here somewhere the full specs. Was it this? No. Was it there? No. No. I definitely published them. Now I've just got to find where. Ah, here we go. So, what was it? 30 dBm. So 1 watt of RF output. Yeah, there we go. 1 watt of RF output. I can't even find O3 in Canada. Have a power turn away, no VTX. Yeah, stock is definitely starting to dry up on O3. Stock is definitely starting to dry up, which is a shame. It'll be interesting to see how it all pans out. Let me just turn that off 1 second. I've got a power supply here and it's making noise. It's going to be interesting to see how it all... Yeah, they have cheaped out on storage a little bit. Again, there's a compromise here on what they're looking to achieve. You know, at the end of the day, DJI is trying to hit a price point, trying to hit a number of things. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the light is only 1 to 3S, correct? Yes. The light is not full power compatible. DJI should have been able to reduce the BOM slightly here because the move to O4... O3, and look, I want to thank Junus for helping me with some of this info, and he'll tell me off as he always does if I get it wrong. But O3 is a bit of a sort of... Patchwork isn't necessarily the right term to use, okay? But the chipset that DJI used in O3 is the same chipset they used in the V1 system. In the V1 system, that chipset, the main chipset, which is the P1, has the ARM cores which run the OS, and then you have the DSP and the RF modems. So everything runs on the one chipset. With O3, they bolted on the Eagle 3 chipset and moved the OS and a couple of other things onto that. But because it's a bolt-on, you still have some things running on the P1 cores because they've offloaded it onto the Eagle 3, but because it was really never designed to communicate with the Eagle 3, you've got to have like a middleware on the P1 to communicate with the Eagle 3, and as a result of that, the P1 still has to have its SRAM chip. So the P1 has an SRAM chip and the Eagle 3 has an SRAM chip. So you've got to have 2 SRAM chips. On O4, basically, the new S2 chipset is just the RF, DSP and modems. There's no big ARM cores on there anymore. And it now communicates directly with the Eagle 3T. It's the same video processor in O4. It's exactly the same. But as a result of no longer having the ARM cores on there and a direct connection to the Eagle 3, they've been able to get rid of an SRAM chip. They don't need it. So they've been able to make things a bit smaller. Add to that, the S2 is smaller. Add to that some optimization on the power circuitry, and then you got a benefit. Randunco said, how does O4 have such good range at low milliwatt? It's just optimization of the RF link. Technically, at a base level, O4 and O3 are identical. It's just DJI have optimized it. Other than the software, the changes, it's the same. It's a new version. O4 can now do up to 80 megahertz carrier instead of being limited to 40. So, for instance, O3 can do 1, 10, 20, 40 megahertz carriers. O3, O4 can do 1, 10, 20, 40, 60, and 80 megs carriers. Although we've seen no implementation of the 80 megs carrier yet, only 60. And it can have more antennas, and it's optimized. But it's still an SDR. It's still largely software. So it's as much optimization as anything. What will be interesting to see is how much it's improved. But remember one fundamental thing with O4, okay? And it's really important to remember this. It is using the same video processor as O3. Nothing has changed largely in that. It's basically the same. I'm afraid G2 will have some crazy issues with O4. Technically, no. Technically, there should be no problems. Camera support, will it be compatible with existing frames? Probably not, based on the mounting. Unless you do some jiggery pokery. That mounting pattern is very horrible. So we do have a feel for the improvements of the Avata 2. Expect this now should be identical to the Avata 2. Don't expect fundamentally more than the Avata 2. This is Wes has hit the nail on the head. It's an Avata 2. So don't expect more than the Avata 2. They might have used a different sensor. We don't know. But it is an Avata 2. Remember, O3 was the same as the Avata 1. This will be the Avata 2. That's the basics. Onboard audio recording, not happening. Is there a comparison video between Action 4 and Avata 2 video quality? Action 4 and Avata 2 should be basically identical. Basically identical. Again, the Action 4 uses the same video processor. The Avata 2 is pretty. The image quality is fantastic. The camera should fit in most frames. Where you might have some fun is mounting, but you could always drill your frame to allow it to fit. You could always drill your frame to allow it. Yeah, Ben makes a very good point. The Avata 2 Avata 4 is a huge step up from O3. 100%. 100%. I apologise if someone asked, but do we think it'll be compatibility with Goggles 2 and Integra? Right, yes. So my understanding is, and again, unless DJI change this on launch day, the O4 ear units will work with Goggles 3 and N3 for all modes, standard modes and the new race mode. We don't know a lot about the new race mode, but new race mode offers latency as low as 14 milliseconds. The ear units will work with the Goggles 2 and Integra, but they will not be compatible with race mode on those goggles. Now, the chances are this is because of the optimization DJI have done with the new chipsets, which isn't in the Goggles 2 and Integra. Hence the reason you can't have race mode. Would O4 Lite have better image quality than O3? That's an interesting question. I'm not convinced. Look, in theory, it could be on par. It could be close, but I'm not convinced. I think they're saying it's the same size sensor or the same sensor as the Neo, as Ben had just said. So I would actually expect the Lite to be a step down and the Pro to be a step up. It is what I'm expecting. Will it work with DJI Controller 3 if drone uses S-Bus? So, I've not seen the RC specs, but my belief is DJI is still allowing their usual compatibility. So what this will mean, Goggles 3 and N3 will work with FPV Remote 3. Goggles 2 and N2 will work. Goggles 2 and Integra will work with FPV Remote 2. That is what I would expect. Goggles 2 and O3 are the best. It's a good combination. I bet my money that O3 would be worse than O3. Yeah, probably. You're not wrong. What am I most excited about with O4? I think, look, O3 is really good. I think the exciting is the light. The exciting is the light. The Pro really isn't that exciting. It's like the next GoPro, the next DJI action camera. The Pro version, it's not that really to get excited about. The exciting element is the standard, the light, because you can now jam it into smaller stuff than before. But that didn't mean, I've got a torn apart O4, O3 on the bench here. Look, you can still do this. It's not like DJI didn't have a small solution. You could do this with O3. It's not single board, but you could shrink it down to that. Now, what I'm excited about is the fact that it can be half this. Someone just said, are goggles 4 on any kind of conceivable horizon? I wouldn't even expect them in 2025. There is zero reason for DJI to be replacing any goggles anytime soon. This is the new gear. Why would there would be no more goggles? I don't even expect goggles 4 in 2025. What's the weight of that O3 light? I can't remember. Wasn't it like 14 grams? I'm trying to remember. These aren't the best scales. I need to get a new set of scales, actually. Yeah, 14 grams. So you're shaving a few grams off. That's going to be the cool thing. That's going to be the cool thing, is to shave down. And look, here's something that I'm actually quite excited about as well, is if you can swap the cameras, because what will be really interesting is if you can do an O4 standard light ear unit with the Pro camera, because that also is an exciting option. That is also something that would be cool. But we just got to wait and see. That's the reality. We're not far away now. The truth is, what's the date today? By the end of this week in January, it'll probably be there. I think that would be nuts. Yeah, but I think that's a real interesting option. I'm really looking forward to that. The race mode is going to be interesting, but I'm expecting that to be 100% DJI bullshit and DJI... Oh, we've created a race mode. Don't expect race mode, right, to conform to race channels, and don't expect it to really be something other than... This will be DJI race mode that will allow you to fly with all these other DJI pilots, but it won't really work with any other system. That's what I'm expecting. I could be wrong, but I'm expecting DJI race mode to allow up to like 8 pilots to fly at the same time, have a reduced bit rate, lower latency, but not really bring any benefits to using DJI O4 alongside other systems. It'll be the DJI race mode. Hopefully it'll be better than the Caddx race mode, which was a joke, but let's see. Someone asked, would it pay to the DJI mic highly unlikely? Yeah, what we can probably say is O3, for most people, could remove the need for an action camera. O4 probably moves it to 95% of people, I reckon. But remember, the fundamental problem remains the same, that the latency is linked to the recording mode, and as such, for those who want to record in 30 frames a second, you're going to be at the higher latency modes. Now, that really isn't a problem for people who are doing, you know, not bando type filming, you know, cinematic filming. It's really not a problem. However, for cinematic bando type flying, you're giving up latency in the event of frame rate, and that's going to be the problem. Also, I hope DJI have improved and fixed 30 frames a second mode on this, because for anyone who has flown properly 30 frames a second mode on O3, it is horrific. It is almost unusable. The stuttering on the image in the goggles is just horrific in the 30 frames a second mode. It's insane how bad it is, if I'm honest. It's just crazy. It's insanely bad. I hope they fix that. And I'll be honest, I really hadn't flown it as much in 30 frames a second mode as I thought. And I think that's got worse. If I'm honest with you, I think it's got worse in the latest firmware as well. It's terrible. Especially on the Goggles 3. It's an interesting choice moving the Pro back to dual antennas instead of the 2-in-1. Yeah, definitely. Interesting that DJI have chosen to do that because it adds to the BOM. You know, it adds to the cost. Remember, O4 as well is only going to be single band, not dual band. Yes, I wish the recording frame rate could be independent of the goggles frame rate. Yes, unfortunately, they are tied. They will always be tied. There's no way you can change it. You'd have to do frame dumping on board, and it's just not a good way of doing it. It's just not a good way of doing it. See, remember, the big problem with this is, so at high shutter speeds, because you've got to have a high shutter speed for a high frame rate. So whatever happens, you've got to have 100 frames a second. You've got to have at least 100th on the shutter. Okay? Otherwise, you're not going to, you know, it's just not going to work. So the problem then is you're having very fast frames. So if you could separate them, or at least not separate them, but dump frames, you would have a very fast frame capture with a gap with another very fast frame capture. So the problem you then get is stuttering as a result of the large amount of gaps between the frame. What should happen on a lower frame rate is you have a longer reading time and for the sensor, which then gives a more smoother image. But how can Cadex manage to do 4K 30 with the Moonlight? They're just dumping frames. That's all they're doing is dumping frames, Ian. It's not true. You're recording at, say, 100, or you're taking 100 in or 90 frames in, and you're just binning some. You're just throwing some away. That's all they're doing. So you're just going bin, 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 bin. But it won't look as good as true 30 frames a second. Yeah, you're just dumping frames. You can do it, but it's not ideal. Yeah, the frame binning means you completely mess up the shutter angle. Exactly. This is the problem. You can't achieve the correct shutter angle for the recording frame rate when the latency is that high. That's the problem. So if you wanted to do your normal 30th and 60th shutter angle, you know, 30 frames a second, 1/60th on the shutter angle, or whatever you want to do it, you can't. So you're getting really fast things. And what you're getting then is gaps between the frames, because you're taking a really fast frame capture, and then you've got a gap, but then another really fast frame capture. And then you get lots of rolling shutter and other stuff. You can't film with 180 shutter anyway, so filming lower frame rates is non-existent argument. Create blur in post. Yeah, you can do that. Look, it comes down to what you want to do. The thing is this. You can still bin the frames if you can convert in post. DJI recording it, doing the conversion in post, or doing it in Resolve, I would just do it in Resolve. At the end of the day, there is no difference DJI doing it on board than you doing it in post. And if anything, you'll get a better result doing it in post, because you can then apply anti-flicker as well if you need it. So just record it at the high frame rate and drop it down in post, because you're getting no benefit from what Cadex is doing. Cadex is doing it on board the SoC, and it's going to be messy. And the problem then is you're already, you're dealing with the output. So, you don't have the control. 360, yeah. Dual camera setup's the only real way to fix it. Why any manufacturer haven't made replacement cameras for O3? Because DJI haven't allowed anyone to. The truth is, DJI have basically stopped working with partners, and that is it. They were allowed to continue to sell the Vista, but that was it. And DJI had no interest in working with anyone else, and they probably won't again. This will, in all likelihood, be the end of the RunCam Cadex partnership. So this, could DJI sell air units only and allow them to do it? Yes, but what changed this was the gyroflow element. The second DJI moved to include the gyroflow and the sensor in the camera, that pushed everyone else out. So that's it, So we will have to wait and see. Pricing is not confirmed. From my perspective, the launch will happen. Then I will... Look, my plan is to maybe do a very quick video, but I won't be doing anything big. I will be following up in 1, 2, 3 weeks after launch as it comes out. And look, you'll have all of the usual KOLs who will have their time, which is great. Let everyone do their thing. And then I'll follow up with my thoughts a little bit later. Rough idea on price I'm hearing is $199 for the Pro and $110, $120 for the Lite. But look, it's not confirmed. Nothing is confirmed on that yet. So we just got to wait and see. Now, before we move on from them, there's also been a lot of other leaks. A quick talk about this, because we've got this... I'll come back to the Mavic 3 in a second, right? There's also been a lot of other leaks. I've lost the posts. So we've got this leak of this other bloody thing that's coming, which is the Flip. Oh, I don't want the audio. This thing is weird. I guess this is... I don't get this. I just don't get this product, if I'm honest with you. This is a weird one. This is a bit of a weird one, this. I'm really not sure about this one. That is strange. What is very exciting, though, for those who do the camera drone stuff, there are more and more leaks coming on the Mavic 4. It's not a troll, Sabang. It's legit. It's coming. It's confirmed. It's got FCC. It is a legitimate product. This new Mavic 4 looks an absolute beast of a thing. This is probably the most exciting product that I've seen from DJI in 5 years. This video isn't very good. It's a beast of a thing. But look at the camera on the front of this. Look at the size of that gimbal. It is insane. And I know we've seen pictures of this already. But this is the most incredible thing that I've seen from DJI in years. This is it. This is the bee's knees. It really is. We've got the apparent specs, but it is just an insane looking beast. And look, we had, you know, where's those early images that were leaked? Oh, there's another video there of the flip. I've missed this one. Look. Parts. That's the duct. I don't get what the flip's about. I just don't get what the flip is about. But those early images of that Mavic 3, where are they? They were a while back, and it was just enormous. There was images of it next to some of the cameras, and it was just insane. Absolutely insane. See if we can find them quickly, because I think it just... There you go. Just look at that. That is an absolute monster. An absolute monster. That's 3 cameras. But still, just look at the size of that thing. This will shake everything up. Leaks incoming. Just incredible. Just incredible. So, that's the DJI stuff. We're about a month off. We're about a month away. So, now, one last thing on DJI. I noticed this week, for those who didn't see, DJI are now taking orders for the goggles N3. DJI goggles N3. DJI goggles N3. I believe you can now order the goggles N3 on their own. Let's go on the DJI store. I got a notification on it. So if we go on the Neo, and it should be under here. Go away. Here we go. You can now order the N3 on their own. How long are they saying for shipping? Let's just get off. Get off. Why? I don't like this. What? Where's the normal box that comes up? What do they say in the cart? What's the shipping time on them? Does it say? Right, that's the page I wanted. Couldn't get to that. 9th of December. So they're literally shipping straight away. Shipping basically straight away. Shipping 9th of December. Yeah, tomorrow. So they're shipping them out tomorrow. So they're available to buy now for $229 in the UK. Don't know what the US is like. What are they saying? A bit longer, 2 to 3 weeks. 2 to 3 weeks. So, but they are available as a standalone now for people. So, that's the end of that. One last thing on DJI. I was shared this from Gary at SUAS News. It looks like the DJI ban could be a little bit out. Some documentation was released, which I think it's the NPRM and it's all of that. And it hints that basically people have 12 months to deal with DJI and Autel. So it looks like they've got about a 12-month ban. And the wording is that it needs to be assessed within 12 months if they are really a risk or a danger to national security. So that it looks like about 12 months off. That's not to say the tariffs aren't coming, so good luck with that one, my friends over in the US. So that's the last thing on DJI. We're done, we're covered, we're all sorted. 413 of you. Wow! Please give the stream a like. We got 80, but thank you for that. Super chats are welcome, but not required to answer any questions. So that's the DJI stuff. If you got any questions, put them in the chat. So no O4 Lite. O4 Lite will be the same time as O4 around early Jan. Can I get a shout out for Tom and Chris from FPVNI? Hello, Tom and Chris. How are you? I hope you're well. Oh, I'm right. I got to try and say this now. Eco4us gives a $20 super chat, 19.99. Looks like we finally have filament that can be printed on consumer leather printers, insulating radio transparent material with tensile strength of steel. Tumula, never heard of that. What is so what is this, Tumula? I've not heard of this. Tumula filament. Oh, 2 more likes to 100. Thoughts on the GEP-RC Vapor X HD03 freestyle drone? That stuff is crazy strong. Tumula filament. Oh, so this is on All3GP. Ah, so there's been testing done on this. I've got an order in from Bamboo Lab that's arrived. Okay, I'll have to have a look into that. Don't know a lot about that, but I'll have a look at that. GEP-RC. Right. GEP generally make very nice drones. So, is there a specific brand of this filament that is recommended? Euro for us. Thank you for the $20 sub chat. It's really is there Tumula filaments for 3D printing? Stronger steel. So how much is this? Oh, $275. Cool. High stiffness and strength superior. Interesting. $500 a kilo. Is that half a kilo? Yeah, 500 grams. Yeah. Interesting. GEP-RC. So what was this model with GEP-RC Vapor X5. GEP-RC. Right, we're looking down. Where is the Vapor X5? Is it under the Mark V series? I can't see that model. Let me just search. Ah, pre-order. Okay. Here we go. I've not seen this. This is a new drone to me. So, looks very similar to a Nazgul. Looks to be aluminium front end with TPU inserts. A lot of space around there. Okay. Flight stack in the middle. O3 up back. It looks okay. It's hard to say it looks anything particularly magical. A lot of free space in the front there. Look at that. Looks like very similar to the Nazgul Eco, somewhat. Open frame. Look, yeah, looks all right. I got no complaints from what I've seen there so far. Price-wise, let's have a look. Express RS 24. How much is the Nazgul Eco? iFlight.com. Oh, yes. Unsafe website. iFlight flags now as an unsafe website for some reason. So we want it with Express LRS. 407. Oh, it's on par with the Eco. Yeah, exactly. Very much on par with the Eco. For that, Yeah, I can't say it's better or worse than the Eco, but it looks on par with the Eco. It's an open frame design, probably really designed to compete with the Eco. What's the components? Ignoring the motors, so let's have a look what they're doing here. So it's running BL Heli S 4-in-1. Nice to see it's not the dodgy BL Heli 32. Nice to see, Gep RC. Thank you very much. And it's an F722. Okay. All right. Is in the Eco a what was the Eco? Trying to remember what AT435. So actually you're getting an STM for that rather than an AT32. Looks about the same. Gep RC SpeedX motors, aluminium front camera protection. You know what? No complaints with that. Price wise, on par with the Nazgul Eco. I think the Nazgul Eco is a great value drone. I suspect you will see a version of that with O4 shipping very, very soon, is what I suspect. That looks a nice quad. That does look a nice quad. Really very little to complain about. Catching up on the chat. Bamboo look ready to release a dual extruder printer. Yeah, I've seen the leaks. I genuinely don't know nothing, but I've seen the leaks. Please also check the Verso Vapor X6. Don't know what that is. Is that a Gep RC? Who's that by? Who's the Verso Vapor X? Who's that by? ABS GF. That stuff is the holy grail. Superb finish. No, wow, okay. Thanks, dude. It's sad if the rumours were wrong about the light being 10 grams. We believe the VTX is 10 grams. If that's including the cam or not is not clear. Was hoping to get myself Skyzone O40 Pro goggle for Christmas. What's the latency on them to use with OpenIPC? I haven't tested it. I can't confirm, but I would not expect it to be bad. In all of the previous Skyzone goggles, the latency via HDMI input is fine. They're basically just pumping HDMI straight to the display. So I wouldn't expect it to be terrible. But I haven't tested it to confirm. The Gep RC Vapor X5 is a redesign of the Mark IV, yeah. O4 ready, just a new alley front end. Reminds me of the Roman R5. Front looks like a SpeedyB Master 5. People mentioned it looked weak, discontented, but mine's been strong. Yeah, look, the emails I'm not worried about. I know they pop up, unfortunately, but I've got to figure out how to sell Chrome to tell the bugger off. I get enough porn and spam to them now. I don't need any more. Coming in Tuesday. Hi guys, new here. Just got my goggles up. Super excited. They're coming in Tuesday. Congrats, Derula. Hopefully you enjoy them. I fight not using SSL for the domain, so it's flagged. Very poor in this day and age. Do you expect to see a DJI made in the USA alternative? Do you mean by DJI or someone else? No one else can make a DJI alternative. There isn't a company on the planet who can do it. Everyone is at least 5 years off, probably 10 years off. So the US has a choice. You ban them and put up with DIY gear for the rest of your life, or you try and find a way of working with DJI. What you're not going to have is a DJI alternative because it doesn't exist. It will not exist probably ever. And there are many political and technical reasons why that is the case. And the biggest being, no one will be able to do the radio link because the IP protection in the US prevents it. And as a result of that, you will not see a US-based DJI O4, O3, or any of them, because the IP owners, the license holders, will always be the blocker to that happening. It just won't. It probably exists for military use, but that's about it. At least the DJI O4 having double antennas, it'll be easier for walks and antenna mounting because they also use doubles, correct? We're kicking field goes. Any 3.5 inch recommendations? I'm looking for a baby 8, but the camera is not big into my 3.5 inches, I'm afraid. I'm probably not the best person to recommend one. Can you elaborate what you mean with the IP holders? All of the licensing for the modems used in DJI are LTE based. And that LTE-based licensing is held by a very small number of people in the West, and they will not allow anyone to tinker, mess, or even use it without their permission. This is such a big problem for the LTE, 4G, and 5G. That's why Apple had a huge argument with Intel and Qualcomm, and continue to, because Qualcomm pretty much own every license that there is for LTE, and as a result of that, they will just not allow the access. Now, how DJI have got that is a very complicated, somewhat murky and deep conversation that spans all the way back to a deal done in about 2012. And it was a deal done so China could make homegrown smartphone chips to allow them to make their own phones, to make their own tablets. And these smartphone chips are still useless today, yet they got access to the core LTE technology, and that core LTE technology ended up in the hands of a company called Ledcore. Ledcore ceased to exist and appeared to have got absorbed by basically an arm of the Chinese government, and suddenly that IP and that tech started to appear in a number of products. Clever. It's complete ownership. It's not even it's complete ownership of the LTE core specification and IP. It's not even clever patents. It's complete ownership. You can't go near it without their permission. You just can't touch it. It's why there's a huge amount around this. If you start reading about 4G and 5G access, Apple got into a big argument with Qualcomm over it. It's all the same things. It's a major issue, but it all spans back to, in China, a company called Ledcore, and it spans back to Xiaomi. It even is relevant today to the new smartphone chip that China's been making. I actually have a document on this. If you go to FPV Wiki, right, I've actually written something on this. Most people haven't even bothered to read it, but it's on here. Go to FPV Wiki, click on DJI drones, right, and you want to find the digital FPV history. Have a read of this. This will tell you what happened. The fall of Ledcore. I wrote this some time ago. The Chinese smartphone chip dream. It's all about this. It's all tied to this. And everything here you need to know. The new Crin all ties into this. I don't know how it'll depend. Look, this is a I know Qualcomm have it pretty much buttoned up till the end of time, as I understand it. It's I don't know. Qualcomm own the wireless industry now. So, but if you're interested in having a read, it doesn't have FPV Blue in it because they never really got there in the end. But yes, so that's that. Remember those DJI drones that are identical to DJI's? Yes, I can see that falling away. They're now available in the UK as well, by the way. Is there a good way to measure VTX latency without needing an expensive 1,000 frames a second camera? Basically, no. And even measuring it with a 1,000 frames a second camera, there are quirks that you need to understand. It's a process I've spent a lot of time on over the years. It's hard. Measuring latency, look, what I would say is latency, why do you want to measure it? What do you want to measure it on and why? There's Anzu, which is a separate company that licenses DJI stuff. I wouldn't even go as far as saying it licenses DJI stuff. What happens is, in DJI's partner factory, which DJI own, it comes out green instead of comes out white. DJI will be fine. It'll all get sorted out. Did I ever try Connex? Yes, I did try it. Connex is basically, HD0 is basically the same as Connex. Connex was joint source channel coding. HD0 is basically the same. I'm not saying HD0 is a copy of Connex, but it's a similar core technology. Connex is still actually around, but they only make video transmitters now instead of FPV gear. Hey, Giovanni, how are you? What is the O4 amp draw? We'll have to wait and see. I'm getting this B25 to put my Mob 803 into if it ships before I change my mind. Very nice. Until O4. DJI is coming with new goggles for O4. No, we've got all of the goggles for O4. Goggles 3 are the O4 goggles. Just remember they came before the ear unit. Goggles, there'll be no new Goggles 3. Goggles 3 and Goggles N3 are the current gen. Have I seen the announcement from Betaflight about not accepting new F4 or F7 targets with more than 4 motor outputs? No, I haven't. I'm not surprised. F4 is somewhat coming to an end and Betaflight is bulking out. Where is it listed, Mosca? I haven't seen it. I'm not sure there's a good reason to make a flight controller with an F4 with more than 4 motor outputs today, and why not just go to H7? I haven't seen it. Where was it posted for Betaflight? It's on their Discord announcements. All right, okay. So I'm gonna have to go to Discord. Here we go. Let me just find it. Okay, so let me bring that into where it needs to be. Okay, so there's been an announcement from Betaflight that says the following. PSA, effective immediately, the Betaflight project will no longer accept new flight controller designs using the STM F4 and F7 series of microcontrollers where there is more than 4 motor outputs. We strive to be the best flight experience available on the widest range of hardware. To continue delivering that, we now need to limit the flight controller designs to use using the older microcontrollers that have a restriction on their timer and DMA resources. Moving forward, these microcontrollers should only be used on budget freestyle and racing designs and for AIOs that only require 4 motor outputs. The STM H743 is very close in price to the F405 and is as much a better choice. We recommend the H743 to be used in high performance, high motor output, high I/O flight control designs where the STM32 microcontroller is preferred, STM I should say, but I said 32, by designer or manufacturer. Existing designs will not be affected. So basically, no more than 4 motor designs on F4 or F7s. I don't think that's a big deal, personally. Probably it's good to actually see this finally get pushed on. H7 has dropped a lot in price because obviously we're out of the STM issues. And the truth is, Betaflight is bulking out. We've got the wing features coming. There's the return to home stuff. You know, it's not really I don't think that's a big problem, truthfully. Can you switch the battery isolator with an RX signal? Not as standard. Perhaps it's worth something asking the manufacturer about, the guy who's made it. I showed him earlier. There's nothing as standard to do it, I don't believe, but have a chat with him. Position hold, all of that stuff. What is the best budget-friendly digital system for a fixed-wing budget search and rescue cam? Can zoom? There's not really a lot in the FPV world for that, to be honest. And it does team in nicely. You might want to look at an OpenIPC for that, because about the only things I can think with zoom is CCTV cameras. There are cameras out there with zoom, but it ain't budget. There ain't a single camera you're going to get with zoom that is going to be on budget. Zoom, budget, and search and rescue just don't go together. To be honest, you then at that point, you're looking at something like DJI had the Mavic 2 zoom. You want something like that at that point, to be honest. That's probably it. The Mavic 2 zoom is probably the best budget search and rescue. So the new Goggles 3 and O4 will not arm in place of the Goggles 2, do we? What? Sorry, I don't understand. Let's do something. So the new Goggles 3 and O4 will not arm in place that the Goggles 2 do right now. America. All right, okay. It should all work everywhere. Probably an old Mavic 2 zoom. I'll be honest. That'll be the cheapest thing to do, because they'll be cheap as chips these days. They didn't make a Mavic 3 zoom, did they, interestingly? Could mount a zoom lens on an O3, but you'd be doing a lot of hassle. You may as well just buy a Mavic 2 zoom. Genuinely, I'd hate to know how cheap they are. DJI Mavic 2 zoom. Not many of the... Of course, there's one. I'm seeing them for $200-300 used. It's just not worth messing around. Will remote ID will stop you arming the new system? No. DJI standalone O3 has nothing to do with remote ID at all. It will work with or without GPS. It's not important. No. There's no remote ID on DJI standalone OcuSync systems. There is no indication that that has changed with O4. Right. The next thing we are going to talk about is... Let me decide. We're going to quickly take a look at some motors, because this week I was sent a couple of motors to look at, and it's only a quick look. We're not going to spend too much time on this because I'll do it properly on the channel when I do the review. But I just wanted to show you because they actually look quite nice. So Zed T Innovate reached out to me through a rep that I've used for other brands, and they've sent me over a bunch of motors. Now, they sent me over some 2807s 1300 kVs, 2812 915 kVs, and then we've got 2207 240 and 2207 2085s. Now, Rossa has actually had a look at these motors already. I'll show you the 2207s first of all. So there's two designs. You've got a full aluminium unibell version, which is a bit like the Zing motor, and then you've got what looks to be a two-part bell system. So this is the 2080, this is the 2040 kV. Be interested to know what difference they are. Quite interesting, because these are the ones that apparently have the silver lined copper windings. No, I don't just have one of each. I have a full set. Sorry, I have a full set. They actually sent me 5, so I have a full set and one to crash or break if I need to. But yeah, you've got the Zed T Innovate 2207s, 240 kV. Quite interesting, the kV on these, because it's a bit higher than what we've been seeing. You know, if you think of the 1800s or 1900s, we're up a bit on both of these. I do like the look of this one, but obviously this is not a fully uni-bell design. It's a 2-part bell. You've got a steel ring there, and then you've got your aluminium bell at the top. But I have to say, they do look very nice. Hollow shafts. They've got all the usual bearings, all the usual magnets. Not going to go into the depth. Overall, though, they do look very nice so far. Now, they also have this bigger 2807. And they also have this one. Oh, my God, this is a beast. Let's just have a look. Been putting these on a modular rate. So we've then got the biggies. We've got the 2812s, 915 kVs, and then the 2807s, 1300 kVs. These do look really nice. Cool, that's a nice big motor. I'm going to have to do a big build with these. Now, what's interesting is, as far as I can tell, their motors are only available to be bought direct right now. You can't actually buy them in retailers, as far as I've seen. If you go to their website, you can see them here. They're certainly not the cheapest motor in the world. They're not quite zing cheap. You are talking $20 each, but this does appear to be a higher end motor, and Chris Rosser has a video on them. And we'll have a look at the gaps a bit more in a minute. And he rated them really well in the testing. You're talking for the 220... Where are we here? For the 2207s, you're talking $21 and $23, but they're selling direct. They're not selling through a retailer. So in theory, you're getting a higher quality motor without the retailer margin. Failsafe's got a set. What are they like? Failsafe, you say it how it is, my friend. If they're shite, tell us. If you're not happy with them, tell us, or if you are. Now, if you look at the design, as you said there, the mag looks really close. Really close on the gap. That looks really tidy. On these, really close. You don't want to get a bit of dirt in there, that's for sure. The windings look very clean as well. They really do look a nice, high-quality motor. Cog in force is good. Pretty good. Have heard of other test pilots having issues with the windings burning through. Maybe a result of them being a prototype. Interesting. Obviously, I've not tried them yet, so I've not had comments. Yeah, they do look like any other motor, and that's the truth. All motors do look like any other motors. Time will tell. Yeah. But no, I just thought I'd show you them. They do look quite interesting. Turtle mode burnout, potentially. Yeah. I'm going to be trying them on AM32, so... yeah. But I just wanted to show you them because they were sent over, and I don't get to see many motors, actually. Motors are not things I take a lot of look at. I tend to have a few, but not a dramatic amount. But what's interesting is they do sell them direct. They're not selling them via normal retailer source. No, I haven't. So what they're saying on the weight is, let me tell you what the spec says. I haven't weighed them myself yet. The spec is saying 33 grams on the 2207s. Let's have a look, shall we? Where's the scales gone? I need to get myself a new set of scales. I really do need to get myself a new set of scales. So 33 on that one. Oh, 35. Just check that is right. 34. 33. And then the biggies are 59. an 81. There you go. Pretty cool. Saying 33.8. So yeah, the basically bang on. I need to get a better set of scales, but yeah, pretty good. But yeah, directly available from them. If you're interested in trying something new, worth a look. Just basically see what they're like. Okay, now, if you've got any questions, put them in the chat before we move on. We've got the OpenIPC stuff to talk about next. And then the TBS Lucid. Actually, we'll do the TBS Lucid first, I think. Because this is quite an interesting one. Let me just get myself set up for this one. Now, this is one I've sort of been involved with the diagnosing of, because I had someone reach out to me on this. So, a couple of weeks ago, I had a user reach out to me with his TBS Lucid, saying that he had some issues with OSD working with regards to Avatar HD. Now, I'm actually using my TBS Lucid stack with OpenIPC. I've got it here. It's in my OpenIPC build with the Mario VTX on board. I've just done basic testing on it, and I've had no issues with OSD at all. It's working absolutely fine. However, it started to become pretty clear that some people were having problems. So I tore this apart, and I started doing testing with O3, where everything seems to work absolutely fine. But I did find a problem with using the Lucid in combination with Avatar HD. Now, it isn't clear if this issue is only with Avatar HD, but there is definitely something with regards to the AT32 and the Lucid with Avatar HD, where either you don't get OSD working at all, or you get a very flickering OSD coming on and coming off, coming on and coming off. And after a load of investigation, I put together this document, and this document talks about the issue in a bit more detail. And we talk about the problem, and I have shared this, and I will share this on the channel. And the very basics are, the issue seems to be caused by the AT32 on the Lucid not being able to pull down the TX line enough for it to register on Avatar HD. Now, just to be clear, it works absolutely fine on O3. It works absolutely fine on my OpenIPC VTXs. It only seems to be between Avatar HD and the Lucid. Now, there seems to be some combination there with regards to the UART. I have tested the UART outputs on the Lucid. They are working as expected. Okay, there's no low, high voltages. The pull down is pulling down fine, and I do talk about this a bit more in a minute. We'll talk about that on the spectrum analysis. The pull down is fine. It is pulling down on its own fine. It doesn't pull down, though, when in combination properly with the Avatar. And what I think is happening here is I think there is an internal pull-up in the Avatar VTX, not a balanced line where you would have, say, a pull-up and a pull-down to balance. You've probably got pull-ups in the Avatar VTX, and the combination of the protection added on the Lucid means that it doesn't quite pull down enough for it to register. Now, here is a spectrum view of what I tested. You can see when connected to the Lucid, the Avatar VTX shows a 3.4 volt high voltage floating. So you can see that along the top there. And it pulls down to between 600 and 800 millivolts. Now, that is low, but it isn't low enough and it isn't quite within spec of what the UART will require. Now, what is interesting is when testing it against O3, so if you notice, this is the UART on the Avatar with the Lucid. Notice the high line, and even where it's pulling down, there's still a high voltage being registered. When you look at it, though, on O3, there is a clear distinction between the high and the low. So the pull down to low there is very clear, and it actually pulls down further between 20 and 100 millivolt. Now, the fix for this is quite simple, and the fix is adding a 10K, maybe a 5K resistor between the flight controller TX line and ground. Should resolve the issue. Now, I put this document together to show it here. You can see here the pull down that we've got between ground and the flight controller TX, or the RX into the Avatar HD. And the results of that I show down here. So this is the image without the pull down, and the with the pull down is basically the same as O3. You can see a very distinct pull down with the voltages getting down as low at 140 millivolt, which is within JDEC spec. Now, it isn't clear the issue is 100% on the Lucid side, because the truth is, it works absolutely fine with O3. It works absolutely fine with the OpenIPC Mario VTX, but it doesn't work with Avatar. I think this is a combination between the pull-ups and pull-downs on the Lucid versus the pull-ups and pull-downs in the Avatar VTX. So, this document will be published, but the very basics of this are, and this is a bit of a technical analysis. I enjoyed doing this one because I don't get to do stuff like this very often. But the basics are, the fix is you apply a 10K resistor between the TX line from the FC and the ground. If a 10K doesn't work, try a 5K. You can go down to 5K, it'll be fine. And then the issue should be resolved. Now, I have heard that TBS are going to make a tweak in production now for newer Lucid flight controllers to help improve this. I will put a link to the document in the description after the stream finishes for people, but it's all written up, it's all there, speculated issues, all of that. So just really a PSA. If you're having these issues, this is the cause, basically. Spelt Lucid wrong on the first line, probably. Oh yeah, Lucis. Yeah, I'll correct that before I publish. It's a weirdy. Is the internal AT32 properly disabled? I don't. TX and ground, yes, it's not pulling down enough, so you need to help the pull down. You need to help the pull down. TX from the FC, RX into the Avatar. So, yeah, bit of a weird one. Bit of a weird one. Right, just a quick one. We had a second super chat from him saying, looking forward to the Maztec DJI service after they get banned in the US. That'll be funny. Biker's fault. Someone would crutch the grammar. Yeah, no, I need to go through it. It's Lewis. At times, yeah, I haven't final spell checked it yet, but I will do that before publish. Okay. No, it's not misconfigured. People have checked that. We think it's a combination of the pull-ups on Avatar and the protection that TBS have added. There's some resistor protection on the UARTs to stop them getting burnt out. And it seems to be a combination that it might be a little bit too high a resistance. The Volador VX 3.5, a good frame. I've not tried it. I'm afraid I can't comment. Chris Ross makes some really good 3.5-inch frames. Can't imagine the help people have received in reply to issues with the Lucid from TBS. Bit heavy, someone says this. So, that's that. I will also send it to Trappy, but I think they're already working on it as well. I do believe they are already working on it. That's what someone's told me. Now, the last thing I want to talk about quickly is not that, is this. So, Emax have sent me all of their Wavern OpenIPC gear. Now, you're getting more and more brands appearing to OpenIPC. You've got Runcam, you've got Emax, and Cadex are coming as well. Looking forward to that one. Yes, we talked about O4 at the start. This is, I'm going to quickly just talk to you about the VTXs because it's quite interesting. So we're seeing more and more OpenIPC gear come. They've got two VTXs. They've got this one, which is the receiver. So that's great. But they've got a high power 800 milliwatt VTX. And then they've got a 100 milliwatt one. Now, the first one I want to quickly show you is this, which is the smaller one, the 100. Now, this is a really nice single board design OpenIPC VTX. Dual antennas. You've got the main chipset on that side there, which is the Star chipset. And then you've got the Wi-Fi adapter located over that side there. And then we've got a small IMX 415 14mm camera. And then you've got this I/O board, which you don't need connected. That's just for doing the work on the bench. Now, what's quite interesting is just the size of this. It's a single board solution, which is really nice to see. They've been able to shrink it down. I'm quite impressed how small they've been able to get this down. You know, you literally have that chipset. You got the flash chip. And then we've got the Wi-Fi adapter. And that's really everything. It really, really is everything because this chipset is doing the full I/O. It's doing everything. It's quite cool. Alongside this, they also have the bigger one, which is a two-board design. When I get it open. This one I'm slightly less impressed with, if I'm honest. And there's a reason for that. So the main board itself is interesting. So you've got a single board, but this one has an SD card slot for DVR. But there's no Wi-Fi on this one. It has a separate external Wi-Fi board, which is this one here. This is actually the same Wi-Fi board that Runcam is using, the same ones that you can buy on AliExpress. All they've done is sort of put it on an interposer board around there. So you've got a two-board solution, Wi-Fi and image processing. Again, an IMX 415 camera, but this is a 19mm camera rather than a small one. But what I'm less impressed about, and this is just, again, I don't understand this. So, one of the boards is one size, and one of the boards is another size. So, you can't do these as a stack without an adapter, because they don't fit. And I'm just like, why? Why? Why would you do this? Just, no. Why didn't you make this board the full size mounting as that board? And at least then, just why? I don't get it. I just don't get it. It makes my face hurt. Now, you could mount these separate in your frame. You could put one on your flight stack and one in the back. I guess That is potentially what they're thinking about here. Mount that on top of your flight stack, mount that at the back. Maybe that's the reasoning, the answer. But yeah, at times, you know, the run cam design was pretty horrific. And this is not great either, if I'm honest. It really isn't. Just drill holes. Yeah, I just, you know, but I actually have to say the single board is really quite nice. The single board is really quite nice. What's really interesting is all of these manufacturers, all of them are using off-the-shelf Wi-Fi adapters. None of them are designing their own chipsets. They're PCB boards and buying the chipsets. They are all, that's the off-the-shelf adapter. You can see it's just soldered down there. I've got a few like this laying around. These are available for like $10, $20. No, it's not OpenIPC, it's Emax. And then this is the bigger one. I've literally got these here. Look, that adapter is that one here, okay? So if you look at this, what they've done is that board is that board. This is one I've bought from AliExpress. They're just buying in the adapter, soldering it to a PCB. So you can see that it's the same board. It literally is the same board. And that is the same board that Runcam are using as well. But Runcam have drilled 2 holes in it to mount it as well. So, you know, look, that's what they're doing. But it's nice to see more brands getting on board. It's nice to see more brands getting in there. You've got lots of hardware now, and all the hardware is cheap. You know, there's nothing here that's expensive. If we go onto the Emax website, you've got 55 quid, 56 quid for the single board solution, 68 quid for the full size one. And then they've got their receivers, which I've got as well, which plug into your smartphone. These are not designed to attach to goggles, so just so you understand, on these receivers, they are basically a Wi-Fi adapter with USB output. These are not going to connect to a set of goggles. They don't have HDMI. What is interesting, and here is an interesting, thought-provoking rabbit hole, is what would it take for HD0 or Cadex to add OpenIPC support to their goggles, bearing in mind they're based off Linux. So the software side of things is basically open to them. Now, it would be harder for HD0 because there's no USB port on the HD0s. Is there an internal USB port on the HD0? There's UARTs, but I've not seen USB. HD0 creating one external module. Is that what you want, or is that confirmed? Because is there digital lines on the module bay? You'd need USB on the module bay. Just a Wi-Fi adapter plus driver bus WAC coder. So, but Cadex have an internal USB port, but not an external USB port. It's not remotely, it's not impossible, but it's highly unlikely, is the term to use. What you don't have is OS on anything else. There really isn't any other goggle out there that could really do it simply, unfortunately. You'd have to go down the road of your own. The OpenIPC Thinkerboard is available now. Pretty nice ear unit, if you ask me. The only people making Wi-Fi boards are Pocket FPV, formerly Big Rookie. Yeah. DJI runs Linux. Yeah, look, DJI, but they're never going to open up. Goggles aren't easy to make. Goggles are never easy to make. But I think a VRX is the right solution. No one needs another set of goggles today. No one needs another set of goggles. The right solution is an avatar style VRX. Because that can be used on HD0 goggles, that can be used on CADX goggles. Is the f2.8 leak true? Yes, we believe so. It seems DJI have changed the specs or they printed it wrong on the first camera. Expect the Redaxa hat probably sometime early 25. Yeah, a Redaxa hat would be the better way forward. That is in before Skyzone release another analog goggles. Port beta flight into OpenIPC. Yeah, getting your flight stack on there as well. Get into dodgy ground. DJI do that on O3, but look, I think a really nice Redaxa hat is the solution. That really is the ultimate solution. That just, you know, that gives more options. I think designing a goggle is going too far, in my opinion. We don't need that now. Look, OpenIPC has an incredible way to go. It needs to create a stable base before it thinks about things like goggles. You know, if you think about OpenIPC today, and there are differences between OpenIPC and Ruby, and in many ways, Ruby is much further along in some of this stuff. So take OpenIPC. There's no menu system. There's no changing stuff on the fly. You can't go in and change the settings on your VTX easily. You've got to use this horrible network adapter method to connect to the configurator and then change settings. And it's not clean. It's not tidy. You can't do it on the fly. There might be a phone app at some point. But look, there needs to be a UI, a communication that goes back through to the ground station. There is so much work that needs to be done yet just to make it. There's a TX menu on the OSD already. I haven't seen that yet. If that's there, great. It's nice to see it. Is it accessible via MSP? Because I haven't looked at that yet. So if it is, happy days, because that's wired. So if it's there, it's up to this. But there's so much to do. So much to do before you think about things like goggles. Goggles are really far down the line. If you think about it, the important stuff is a way to get it in and a way to get it out. And that's it. Who wants to know everything about O4? I could tell you everything, but I'm not allowed. There is still some stuff I can't say. But there's a lot to do. There's an awful lot to do. An awful lot to do. It's got, you can control via the same sticks. Oh, I haven't actually checked because I've only just updated it again. So, but even that, because the VTX sorted, the standard ground station, the standard ground station wise is still, look, it's still very alpha, very early. We need a stable point. We need a set of presets for different flight styles. You know, you want a preset that's ideal for freestyle. You want a preset that's ideal for long range. You want a preset that's ideal for bando bashing. You know, today everything is still very, well, you can try this, but if that doesn't work, try that. Try MCS1, try MCS2, try 8 megabits a second, try 4 megabits a second, update the file for the sensor. Everything is very messy, and that's to be expected with a project. At some point, what we actually need is everything to just stop and go, right, look, we're going to stop with features, we're going to stop with this, and let's just tidy all of this up and create something that works out the door. And then that's a solution, not a project. And then, because the risk is, and here is the real risk, and we are already seeing this, if the project doesn't do this quickly, manufacturers will, and we'll get fragmentation. And we've already got that. You've already got Runcam doing the setup via a script. You've got Emax who've done something. I can't quite work out what Emax have done, but they've done something. So you need... The project has to almost do what Express ELRS did which is, you are going to go our way. You will do what we do, or we're not going to certify you, or we're not going to class you as official. We're not going to let you do this or that. You know, it's still... The hardware is here. We've got more hardware than we know what to do with. You got the Emax, you got the Mario, you got the new Thinker. If we go to the OpenIPC store... Why wasn't that coming up? You've got, you know, we've got more hardware than we know what to do with now. That's the truth of the matter. Hardware isn't the problem. So we've got the new Thinker. And there's a nice option because the new Thinker will also have the Wi-Fi option as well. But you've got the 53 or the 54. And again, look, it's really cheap hardware. The Thinker is a big, you know, it's much more redesigned compared to the Mario. And the Mario wasn't bad. The Mario was compact enough. You know, and this is even more compact. You can see that there. You know, even more compact again. Which is great to see. You know, it really is a push forward. So, look, there's lots of... And the hardware is cheap. 50, 60 quid. 50, 60 dollars. What camera are they shipping? Is it the 415 on this? Oh, no, 335 still. Aluminium case. Yeah, so, look. Analog MEMS microphone on board. Digital people will be happy. SD card slot, no Wi-Fi. See? Very nice indeed. You know, there's... Oh, 80 odd in stock. And then there's the Wi-Fi version as well, which has the Wi-Fi instead of the SD card, so it's a single board solution. So the first one doesn't have... You're going to have to add your own Wi-Fi adapter. So there's no Wi-Fi on this one. So you need to add your external adapter. You know, that thing. Or one of the others, whatever you want to do. So you've got no Wi-Fi on that one, so just image processing. So 2-board setup on this one. Single board setup on this one. So this one has the Wi-Fi on board. And you can see the Wi-Fi module there. Only available for the tiny version. What's the RF power on the Wi-Fi version, I wonder? Interesting, we see... Yeah, the renders there. There's real images there as well, though. Look, you're not going to complain. Look, there's a real image there. If you want a real image, it is there. Here it is. Single is the most interesting. Yeah, that is, genuinely. What's the RF power level on the signal? What's it capable of? 100 milliwatts. Yeah. So, very cool. So, look, the hardware is moving forward. Lots of it. We just need to sort of... It needs a wrapper now. It all needs to be sort of wrapped up that someone can open the box And it's closer to just working now because you don't have to mess with the keys anymore, which is nice because all of the standard keys work. But we just sort of need it tidied up, which will happen. It takes time. It will get there in the end. You can push, but that will push the board, you know. But look, hardware-wise, there's so much choice now. You know, if you think about hardware in a short period of time, what we've got to now be careful of is fragmentation, because you're now going to get everyone doing their own bloody thing. So you're going to have Emax doing their own thing, Runcam doing their own thing, Cadex, great. We all will look forward to Cadex doing their own thing, because God knows what we will end up with. We could end up anywhere. But there's loads of hardware. The Emax VTX is really nice. I do like... I'm less of a fan of the two-board solution. It's okay, but it's still got some stupidity. But I do like the single-board solution. I do like this one. I do like this one. Very cool indeed. So that's where we're at. Everything I've been updating. I'm starting to do the Emax stuff. I'm going to try the Emax stuff with their firmware first because I don't want to touch anything. I want to try it as it comes because that's how people will buy it. If you get the Emax, it's on channel 132 out the door. The Emax paperwork is pretty poor, if I'm honest. It's getting better, but there was some stuff I had to ask them. It's quite interesting that you still see, no one seems to have settled on the cameras. You either get the IMX, the 3 series, or the 4 series. Do I think there'll be any way to hack audio on the O4 unit? No. No. If you want audio, you're probably going to need to either put a wireless microphone on it or anything else. The IMX 335 is better. Yeah, it's interesting. You seem to see people, you know, they're relying on the third-party ones for better compatibility. Yeah, and this is the thing. You see, you got Emax doing their own thing, Runcam doing their own thing. I did like some of what Runcam did with the setup. I can't quite work out what Emax have done. 1080p 120, unlike the 415. Yeah, you can get 1080p 120 on it. Yeah, you know. I guess the 415 is cheaper. Okay, so let me just check back up on. Let me just read back. Someone asked me, is there anything exciting for the DIY person in 2025? I don't know, because, you know, the Avatar version 2 seems to be non-existent. Genuinely, and this is the truth, and I'm going to say it, I'm not even sure it will happen. And I have said this to someone today. I'm not sure that was not more Cadex marketing BS. I am less and less sure a version 2 Avatar HD system. And when I say a version 2, I mean a new chipset. Okay? I mean a new RF system. Well, it's a chipset because it's all in one for them. I am less and less convinced right now there will be a version 2 system. And that will trigger one of two things. So, I need to go back and listen to my own review again and see what I said. And I believe I was very careful to not promise anything on the V2 system. But Cadex as a brand have put people like me in a very difficult position, because I made a review on those goggles and I said, hey, these are upgradable. But I am 99% sure I said, but don't buy them for that reason. And it isn't out and it may not happen. And I need to listen to it and I need to read it back. But the truth is, it means that I may have to issue an apology for what I said in that video based on what they told me. And they have put every one of us in a very difficult position. And what that means for trusting the brand moving forward, well, it means you can't trust the brand moving forward. You did say don't buy them for that. I'm 99% I did. But I am now more and more of the opinion that it isn't going to happen. And it's bullshit. And I'm disappointed because we're now basically 6 months past that. In January, it'll be 6 months. And it won't be here before January. So I don't think you'll see a V2. I think DJI are about to give Cadex a real problem in two ways. I highly expect DJI to pull the Vista, bearing in mind the Vista was a big seller for Cadex, even though they were still selling Avatar. I've heard it's a big seller. So I expect DJI to pull the Vista. They will only ship their rear units. And they're going to come after them at price point. And that's going to give Cadex a problem. That's going to give Cadex a real problem. I think there's a lot to come from Express ELRS next year. If you think this year we're at the beginnings of the new chipset, you know, the LR chipsets. We've got the modules, you've got some receivers, but I think we're only at the beginning of that journey. That's going to expand as time goes on, just naturally, because it will. You know, we've got the Nomad. I think it's inevitable. You'll see more modules from other manufacturers. You'll see more receivers from other manufacturers. It's going to happen. And you're going to continue to see OpenIPC development. Version 4 from Express ELRS 2. Yeah, for sure. You know, there's a lot with Express ELRS if you think about it. OpenIPC continue to develop. And I think we might see some companies go under next year. I think the big surprises actually will be the people who aren't here next year, because if the problems in the east side of the world, I'm not going to say get fixed, because I don't think you can fix that, but if that all stops, there's a lot that's going to, FPV is going to shrink very, very quickly. There's an estimate about 30 to 40% of all FPV gear is going into Ukraine. And if that stops, you're going to see some people fall apart very, very quickly. It could be a turbulent year next year in FPV, if that happens. When is the lower latency 900 megs ELRS coming out? Especially the high power analog gear. Yeah, you're going to see a lot of stuff change. I think the exciting stuff is the continued development of OpenIPC. Because at the end of the day, it's here, it's developing, it's improving, it's moving forward. The hardware's easy now. Hardware's done. Hardware's sorted. We've got more hardware than, you know, you got more hardware on OpenIPC than you have on DJI. You don't need to worry about hardware. Hardware is here. Now it's about software improvements, delivering a product, tidying things up, in more features, two-way link. Ruby, I still need to play with Ruby. You know, it's coming. There's lots of good around the corner. I think we have stagnated. I think FPV will plateau and stagnate a bit as it has already, because look, everything is good now. There's so much good gear out there. I don't know if there's anything incredibly exciting, but I do think we are hitting a peak. I am interested and excited about the new TBS wing. Genuinely am. I am hoping and praying we have a great product. I think there's a gap for a good off-the-shelf wing in FPV. I just do. And I think that is exciting. I think that's really exciting. OpenIPC needs smaller hardware. I think that's even coming. I've seen a pic. Someone's got a camera with the chipset on the back. There's, you know, that's there. Analog will get more expensive for sure. You're going to have loads of new frames next year for the DJI cameras. Expect that to happen. Still wondering what happened to the iFlight goggles. Yeah, that's weird. I still, you know, don't know. I think you're going to see loads of frames, that's for sure. Loads of frames. Loads of frames. Our transmitters, 2 boards with different sizes. Yeah, look, I think if the warheads, there's going to be a lot of 7 to 10 inch drones discounted. Cheap long range, anyone? Yeah. And there'll be the surprises. And there's always surprises. Have I seen the new frame Kebab FPV is working FPV cycle? No, I haven't. Is there any images anywhere? Let's hope Trappy doesn't cheap out on the wing and doesn't repeat the Cappy 2 Fasco. Where'd you place your bets? Place your bets. Every time I see a new O3 quad release recently, I'm surprised. I think, Chris, stock clearing. Don't underestimate stock clearance. You've still got to sell the old stuff. He made a video, arms angled at 45 degrees. Let's have a look. Shall we have a look? Let's have a look. Videos. Oh my gosh, is it this thing? Are we talking about this?
Is what life is.
Is this it? Interesting. I'm not going to play. Is there any music on this?
Mention them appropriately.
There is. I can't play it if there's music because I got a bloody takedown notice last time. It's not completely unique. You know, we've seen stuff similar to this in the past, but it is definitely unique in FPV. I like the triangular carbon arms, so that means it's not going to twist. How far to skip forward? Is it there? Wasn't there a quad that had tilting arms? Who is stopping me telling me all I know about DJI O4? Agreements with people. What, wasn't there a quad that tilted forward? And I've got Immersion RC in my head. Didn't Immersion RC make... Wasn't there a quad that tilted the arms forward? There was definitely something that had tilting arms. I remember it. Motor tilt. I swear it was like Immersion RC. The DJI. I'll have to watch the full video. Interesting though. Definitely an interesting design. I think it will vibrate. Vortex 250. That's the bugger. Someone said it. I remember that. Who was that made by? Was that Immersion RC? It's in my head. It was. I remember. There was a tilting one. And I can't remember what it was like. And I swear it had like round bars for the arms. It looks a bit like this, but it had round bars like that there. More like that it was. I remember something. But no, look, that is definitely interesting. It'll be interesting to see what the benefit brings. Yeah, I've been around a long time, so I've seen a lot of stuff go round, round, and round. Keeping those straight looks fun. Yeah. Look, the truth is, why would you do this? Speed, I guess, is the only reason. Because if you look, he's aiming for higher speeds with lower camera angle, aren't you? That's really what you're aiming. See, if you're looking at that and you're down like that, so your motors are already banked. So when you drop the bank angle forward, you're pushing less drag, you're getting more speed at less bank angle on the body, not on the arms, because you've got less drag, because you're not pushing against the flat frame. So you're basically aiming to have the frame flat whilst the motors are banked angle forward. It is what you're trying to do. I guess it's an alternative design to Chris Ross's and, you know, the rocket and those things. It's another way of getting less drag. I guess the only issues with that is landing. Are the props gonna? Because if the bottom props are gonna catch, then you're in trouble. And I can't see there, but where's your prop gonna be at that point? Because if your prop there, right, so if that prop's gonna catch, then you have a problem. Collective pitch, nice on each motor. Yeah, look, the Inspire somewhat did this, but it's a more seatline design. It's just a different way to approach the issues. Yeah, you're just trying to reduce drag, increase speed, etc., etc. You know, what's interesting with all of these designs is they're all only amateurs worry about landing. Yeah, they're all compromised. Ross's is compromised with the camera angle at takeoff and landing. This is looking somewhat compromised with the props. Every time you do this, you compromise. The only real compromise, no compromise, would be to tilt the to tilt in flight. That would be the only real non-compromise. Yeah, looks, it's very interesting. That's for sure. Very cool. Very cool. I always like, you know, different, unusuals. I still probably need to try Chris's frame. I haven't tried it. But, yeah, we're going to have to see. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for tonight's stream. I want to thank you for spending some time with me. Please do consider checking out the links to my Patreon as well as buying me a coffee. Thank you to everyone who has donated a super chat. We would not be able to do this without your support. Thank you to everyone who supports the channel via Patreon as well. A huge thank you from me to you for the people who do donate on a monthly basis. We should be back, same time, same place next week. Look after yourselves, stay safe, and I will speak to you soon.